Hi friends, what's up and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things health and fitness and nutrition for women 5'4" and shorter. I am 5'1" myself. I am a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, and I run the Petite PWR programs, which are a bunch of programs and a community that helps and supports my fellow petites. We have a team of registered dietitians, coaches, the works. So if you want to join us, you can learn more at petitepwr.com. For now, today, I am going to be giving a final recap on my mini cut results. So I just did a 8-week mini cut and I closed it off. I'm transitioning into what the next phase looks like. And I want to share my results, some lessons I learned, and more importantly, I want to share with you how you can transition from any kind of diet you've been doing back to your maintenance mode. How do you do that? What do you do with your calories? What does that look like? How do you avoid weight regain, which is really common for petite women? So we're gonna cover all of that in this video today. So whether you're dieting now and you're looking ahead to figure out what do I do after I stop dieting, or you're already in that phase of like, I just did a diet, but the weight is creeping back on and I don't want that to happen, this video will help you get guidance around that. The major theme of this video is that in order to lose weight, you must be focused, but in order to maintain your weight loss, you must learn balance. So we're gonna talk about what that means. In other words, if you wanna lose fat, you must first be focused, and then you must learn what balance looks like for you, which is not the same as just going back to doing exactly what you were doing before your fat loss phase. Speaking of which, if you are petite and you're looking to lose fat, and this video is like way ahead of the game for you, I actually hosted a completely free masterclass on the petite body type and how to lose fat and tone up as a petite woman, the workouts you should be doing, the types of foods you should be eating, calories, everything last week. But what I'm gonna do is send you a recording if you wanna just watch it. I'm going to make it available to you for just the next 48 hours. So you can totally just go and watch the pre-recorded event. It was live last week, like I said, but I wanted you to get the opportunity to get your hands on it and just watch it in case you missed it. I won't be doing live ones for a little while. So if you missed it, go check that out at the link below, and it'll give you like the plan so that you can start your fat loss journey today and not have to wait until I do my next live event. So I really hope you enjoy that. And again, that's totally for free. I'm just giving it to you, the recording of it, and it does expire. So don't wait on this, don't sleep on this, you guys. Go check that out. Okay, so part one of this video is just talking about my results from my 8-week mini cut and what I achieved and if I'm happy with it and what lessons I learned. So just looking at my results now, if you look at the chart, I started off at around 117. I'm 5'1", so that's on the, for me, heavier side. It's still by no means an unhealthy weight, a very healthy weight. I just don't feel my best at 117. So I got down to 113, so about 5 pounds lost in 8 weeks. Now, my main goal, if you watched my previous episodes, you can go back and watch them, by the way, if you want to learn how to set up a mini cut, it's in there. My main goal was to tone up, lose some fat, and do it in a really sustainable way. I was aiming for 1 pound of weight loss per week, 1 pound of fat per week. I ended up losing 5 pounds over 8 weeks, and I attribute not losing the full 8 pounds to this really bad cold I got. I got super sick over the holidays, missed Christmas, and just couldn't hit my macros, couldn't exercise for about 2.5 weeks. So I would say that played a huge role. That's probably where those extra 2 or 3 pounds went. But overall, I felt like I really handled that well and got back on track after I got sick and just made the most out of it. I'm also proud that I didn't try to super restrict or try to make up for lost time, which inevitably always backfires. You know, when you eat a lot of food, you binge, you have a indulgent time one night, and the next day you're trying to compensate for that, you're trying to pay for it, you're trying to restrict. I did not do that after getting sick, and I would have done that in the past, so I would consider that a win this time around. I'm also gonna show you here my progress photos. I think these are really visible. It just goes to show you that 5 pounds can look super visible on a petite frame, whereas on a taller person, you guys know, our taller friends can gain and lose 5 pounds really easily. It's not as noticeable when they gain 5 pounds, but for us, a couple pounds makes a huge difference in how our body composition looks, and you can really tell just from this 8-week mini cut that the 5 pounds, you can see it in my stomach, my thighs, and I did lose inches on my hips, my inner thigh, and my waist, mostly around my waistline during this 8-week period. All things considered, I'm really happy with my results this time because the last time I did a mini cut, if you watched that 2 summers ago, it really affected my mental health, and I actually stopped the mini cut halfway through, or about almost towards the end, because I felt like I was not in a good place. I was starting to develop some body dysmorphia. It just wasn't feeling healthy for my mind, and at that point it wasn't worth it. This time around, I didn't experience that. I felt like I was feeling good the whole time. I wasn't overly restrictive. I was enjoying my workouts. I enjoyed the extra focus I had to have, which I'm gonna get into in the next part, talking about focus versus balance. And I've been able to really transition into maintaining it while I have traveled, and obviously I am not in Texas right now, and just made it was kind of an easy thing. I could see myself now doing 8-week mini cuts once or twice a year, just a little cleanup effort, and feeling really good about that now that I know and have the confidence that it doesn't affect my mindset if I don't let it and if I don't get too extreme with it, which is super important for petite women. Okay, in this next part of the video, I wanna talk about how you go off of a diet and into a maintenance phase, what it requires, both actually doing and mentally like feeling and experiencing, the approach, mindset you need to have, and the common mistakes to avoid, all tailored and through the petite female lens, so that it really, because when we diet, we have to be really careful. We don't have as many calories to eat in a day. When we diet, we tend to go even smaller, right? Lower in calories. So restoring your metabolic health after a mini cut, taking that diet break is imperative. You do not want to end up in a position where you just keep dieting, and now you just live in a diet phase. That will tank your metabolism. You'll get to a point where your calories are so low that even looking at a muffin will add 5 pounds to you. You know what I mean? So we want to avoid that and make sure that you are transitioning into that maintenance mode in a really focused way and finding that balance. So let's get into that. Now, how you transition back into your regular life is going to depend on what diet you are doing to begin with. Because if you were doing a ketogenic diet or something really restrictive, it is going to be different how you reintroduce carbohydrates, for example. I'm not going to be discussing that. I'm going to be talking about what, if you came from a diet that was traditional caloric restriction. I was doing flexible dieting through macros, as you guys know, so I was eating a certain amount of protein, fats, and carbs per day. I'm going to talk about how I'm going from that sort of stricter tracking everyday mentality, or I should call it focused, because there was flexibility built into it, to a more balanced approach. Now, also, hopefully when you did your original mini cut, you were also exercising in a way that you enjoyed and loved, because you cannot just stop exercising or start eating whatever you want after a mini cut. You do need to make sure that this is more part of the mini cut phase, but the things that you did to lose the weight still have to be a part of your life when you go into maintenance mode. It's just about the extent to which you do them and how much flexibility you have versus when you're in the super focused mode. So when I was in my mini cut, I had a lot more adherence to the program, consistency. I did not miss a single workout. I was, 6 out of 7 days on my macros. When you're looking at after a diet, you still need to be balanced and exercising, strength training as a petite. You need to be still looking and making sure you're getting enough protein, but you have more flexibility, more leeway as you're getting back into just a more balanced way of living. So what does this mean? So first of all, as I'm transitioning to maintaining, I'm now changing my focus from macros to isocaloric. What does isocaloric mean? Isocaloric is just meaning that instead of having a super specific macro goal, weighing out all my food, I'm moving to just a calorie goal, because as I'm traveling, it's just more adaptable, more balanced to be able to go out to dinner and eat and not have to worry about weighing anything, for example. So isocaloric is just hitting the same number of calories, but not being as strict about the exact macro breakdown that I was following before. What this probably looks like is, first of all, I'm still prioritizing protein, because you need to, even if you're transitioning to an educated form of eating where you're not tracking. I would say educated rather than intuitive, because intuitive is not always educated. But if I'm moving into more educated, I'm still prioritizing protein at every meal. I'm probably more or less aware of my carbohydrate intake and my fat intake. I'm still not going to be eating high fat. I'm still going to keep the fats moderate to low, which is what is best for me and my body is petite. So going isocaloric instead of macros, meaning you're hitting the same number of calories as you were with macros, but you're not looking at the breakdown, it gives you the flexibility without throwing your plan totally out the window, which is what causes the weight gain. If you just go back to doing what you were doing before, you will end up gaining all the weight back and more. So to do this, you need to know how many calories you were eating during your mini cut, so that you know how to transition into just generally eating that many calories after your mini cut at the beginning. We'll talk about increasing your calories in a second. Now, if you were doing a different kind of diet where you weren't tracking your macros, this would mean the first thing you'd need to do in transitioning to the maintenance mode is track your calories for a few days and see how many calories you're eating, because you need to be able to know how many calories you're eating moving forward. If you don't like tracking, then at least just write it down. Just write it out, a way of mentally noting the quantities of food that you're eating so that you can match that in a less restrictive way. If you are going to track that for a few days, all you have to do is download MyFitnessPal or the My Macros app. I like the My Macros one better, and track what you're eating for a few days and see how many calories you're eating on average per day. Now, if this sounds like too much work, I just want to remind you that weight loss is not the hard part of a mini cut, but maintenance is. Losing the fat is hard, but unfortunately it isn't the hardest part. Keeping it off is the hardest part. Sustaining your weight loss and your fat loss is the hardest part. And I'm not saying that to scare you, because it's still all very doable. It's all very workable. But I want to prepare you, because I've made these mistakes, for thinking that once you cut the weight, you can relax and just like go back to normal. You don't want to do that, because you end up backfiring. You get the rebound weight gain effect. You need to remember that, okay, you work this hard, don't give up now. You need to carry that focus in the first couple of weeks of transitioning into the maintenance, so that you can get to that place where you're comfortable and your calories are restored, but you're at a lower body weight. It will require the same, if not more, commitment to learning and your goals to keep the weight off as it did to lose the weight in the first place. So just keep that in mind when you're transitioning to a maintenance mode. Now, the first thing I did, I kept my calories the same to start, and I decided to taper off my cardio. This is also going to be applicable if you're trying to reverse diet. This is kind of like what you do kind of do a mini reverse diet, or restoring your baseline after any type of diet. So I am tapering off my cardio slowly. Now, cardiovascular adaptation happens really quick in the body, so you don't want to go from doing daily cardio to no cardio. You want to taper it down slowly. If I was doing 6 or 7 days of cardio, 30 minutes a day, I want to taper that down to maybe 5 days a week instead of 7, or 4 days a week instead of 6. So slowly tapering down the cardio, or even just doing 15 minutes of walking a day instead of 30 minutes of walking. Do it stepwise so that you are not completely removing that cardiovascular element, and then your body has excess calories that you're eating that will also translate into getting the weight back. So taper the cardio slowly. That's what I'm doing. I just lowered my cardio, but kept my calories the same for the first couple weeks to see how that felt. Now, once I lowered my cardio, the next step, if I'm maintaining well, is to slightly increase my calories. You need to do this in a stepwise, slow approach, especially as a petite, because you're going to want to add 5 to 10% of your total calories every day, or each week, I'd say, to the total number of calories you're eating, so that you are doing it slowly. Because as petites, if you dieted down to 1,400 calories a day, if you suddenly increase to 1,700, that's a huge percentage of your overall intake. You're going to be in a surplus and you're going to gain the weight. Your body's not going to know what to do with the excess calories right away. So instead, calculate 5 to 10% of your total daily intake and add that on a weekly basis. Add that to each day, and do it slowly, and watch how your body responds. If you start gaining weight quickly, walk it back a little bit. If you're doing well, maybe increase it the next week. Now, for petite women, this is really important. When it comes to walking those calories up slowly after a diet, this is gonna literally look like adding one food item to your day at first, okay? So this isn't meaning now you have free reign to like eat a full extra meal that you couldn't before. Literally, it's probably 50 to 100 calories per day, which is not a lot. Like one rice cake is about 50 to 100 calories right there. So it's like one food item you can add back safely per day and start to see how that feels. If you just want like a quick cheat sheet, think of it as like one food item a day to help you increase those calories. Now, why would you do all this? Because you don't want to stay in a dieting phase forever. You want to get your calories back up to a normal level, and you want to get your training regimen back down to a sustainable balance level as well. Now, all this said, you don't need to diet in the first place as a petite. The most effective way for petite women to tone up and lose weight and build muscle is through going the body recomposition route, which is what the majority of my videos are about. And at that masterclass I told you about, which you can still watch the recording of for the next 48 hours, I made it available just for you. It's totally free. You can check that out below. That method, it doesn't even require lowering your calories. You would focus on your maintenance calories, lifting weights, a little bit of cardio, and focusing on your macro breakdown first. But if you are the type of person who's already gone through a body recomp a few times, or you've already been lifting weights for years, doing a mini cut can help you get some extra progress. But remember, the way that you get back to balance is just as important as the weight loss phase. So you can't skip this step, and that's why I'm not skipping it in my mini cut progress either. So as you can see, weight loss requires focus, but maintenance is also going to require a certain level of focus, which then turns into a balance that you find over time. You still want to exercise daily, or whatever you were doing during your mini cut. If that was 5 days a week, keep strength training, keep maintaining your muscle, keep prioritizing protein. These things the things that you did during your weight loss phase need to carry to some extent, to not the full extent, but to some extent in your day-to-day lifestyle, or else you're not living a lifestyle. You're just living a crash diet. You're living a quick fix. And we're not about quick fixes around here, right? Like, we want the real results. We want it all. And you can have it all if you are willing to figure this out, figure out what you love doing that makes you excited to exercise, and the foods you love, and tailor it to your body as a petite. Our bodies are a little bit different, as you guys know, hence this whole channel. So tune into what your body needs as a petite, and you can make it super sustainable in the long run. I hope you guys liked my mini cut series. It was fun to make. It was so fun to have the motivation, and it was cool to see all of you guys doing a mini cut alongside with me over the last 2 months. If you're curious how to do a reverse, or you have any questions from this video, let me know in the comments below. I will reply. Let me know what you're confused about. Let me know if you're currently walking up your calories and you're wondering if it's the right amount, etc. I'm there for you. Let me know in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if it helped you in any way, and thanks for following the mini cut journey. If you want to check out my weight loss and fat loss plan for petite women, that masterclass, it's about an hour and a half. It's a recording of me teaching a session, like I'm teaching a class, not a fitness class, but like an educational class on your body type as a petite, what's different about our metabolisms, what you need to do for your fitness, your nutrition, and your mindset. That recording is available below for the next 48 hours. You can check it out totally free, and I hope you enjoy that. Let me know if you sign up for that below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.